Hey, what's up, Darcy? Quick demo video for you for your Magic of Myth saber. I did two of these today, or I wrapped them up rather. Installed with a Proffie. You've got the Veracity Labs crystal chamber in here. Um, this thing was a beast. I mean, I've had this, and I never have a saber this long. I've had this since April 6th. First, you sent this to me, and we were waiting for Veracity Labs to actually come out with the crystal chamber, so I held on to it until then. Right, crystal chamber came in the mail. I started installing this. I got to the point where I was wiring up the helper board, and yours also, the red diode or the red NeoPixel went out on your helper board. So I had to reach out to Adam Days and over to Lewis at Seven Chambers and ask them to send me another one. Adam sent me a couple of the Gen 1 boards, and Lewis sent me a couple of the Gen 2s. The difference between them is the Gen 1s have NeoPixels for your triangles here, and the Gen 2s actually have LED diodes. I put another Gen 1 in here because that's how I had it wired up, and I watched the red NeoPixel come on, and then I turned it off and back on, and it was burnt out again. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go back to the Gen 2. But the problem is I had one more Gen 2 board, and I had to take the LEDs off that one as well, reflow them in the opposite spots because they were mixed up from what they should be here on the control box. Do all that and put that together. I got all that done. We'll take the grenade to get to the crystal chamber. Okay, we'll just unscrew the grenade. I got all that done, fired it up, and my LEDs in the top spot right here were not lighting up. You can see that crystal chamber pretty good there. They weren't lighting up. So I had to take this completely apart, completely disassemble this crystal chamber to get up to here, replace these, put it all back together, and now it's done. So it's done. It's working well. I'm going to wrap this up and get it out in the mail to you, and then hopefully never see it again. But anyway, install the Proffie. Of course, you got your Veracity Labs crystal chamber here. I chose to go with a smaller crystal on yours. It's a real quartz crystal, but I wanted to use the top and bottom greeblies. And in order to do that, you have to use a smaller crystal. So that one looks really cool in there, I think. It lights up well. You have a 4-pixel accent strip up here. Now, when you look at your config that I left on the SD card, it's going to look a little weird. I originally had, like I was saying, I had this control box wired up for NeoPixel. Which means I had the crystal chamber over on LED pad 6 instead of 4 or 5 or whatever. So when you look at that new config, you'll see your main blade, and then the next two simple blade Peters are for the LED diodes in your control box. Then the very fourth blade style is both of these, right? But I wired them to where you can use sub blades if you want to. I don't have that set up right now. I have the top and bottom doing the same thing, but I made sure to wire it in a way that if you wanted to add sub blades, you could have these doing different things. Just remember, the first NeoPixel accent in the series is going to be your bottom crystal chamber, which is 1 pixel. The second in the series is going to be your strip up here. It's 4 pixels, but it will actually just count as 2 because they're 2 pixels, two 2-pixel strips back to back like you would do on a blade. All right, so you only need to call out for 2 pixels on that. So just be aware of that. You can switch this up if you want to. All right. Also, if you ever need to get to the board to do any of that, what you want to do is unscrew your pommel. Unscrew this entire thing. You have a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker over here in its own speaker pod. It just says Solo Sabers over there. It says Solo Sabers around that PCB right there. All right, so that stays in the PCB. And then to get, to your board right here, and you've got easy access to your SD card, your micro USB, your recharge port. You got a 1.3mm recharge port right there, and of course your stock speaker pogo pins are right there too. So the only time you'd ever want to take this off is if you need to get to the board to make any changes. Because things are a little bit weird and you can do different things, and there's 4 different blade styles, I put one sound font on here for you. That way it's easy to see in the config what I did. And you can build off of that, or you can change it up if you want to, but I gave you something that was as easy to read as possible. All right. So what we want to do is we want to come over here and slide this control box back, just like that. If you slide it back that far, you can see your kill switch. And focus, you can see your kill switch right there. If we slide it back further, you've got your complete reveal board. I do have the gold mesh inside your box in case you want to add that, but you don't have to. All right, so we just want to slide it, back far enough to get to that kill switch, really. Just like that. Come over here and flip it. Slide that clamp card back, and then you can see your blinkies. So I got your cave scene blinkies, the red and green, doing exactly what they should. I've got your crystal chamber just kind of pulsing. And you can see it there until we turn it on. Your CC Saber's NeoPixel connector up here is doing what it's supposed to do. They do react to auxiliary being pressed. And I gave you twist off. And then on your grenade section, of course, you've got one more CC Saber's NeoPixel connector and a blade side PCB in there that never comes out. All right. These crystals are on a timer, so if you don't turn it on right away, they will turn off on their own, so they don't kill your battery. All right. So one more time, we'll screw this grenade section all the way on. Make sure it's nice and locked down. Come back over here and hit power again. And now your emitter's all fired up. Auxiliary. And I gave you twist off. I also made you a blade. I made you a recessed blade with BTF strips. So what we want to do is come over here and unscrew the emitter ring only. All right. And then you'll see your blade retention in there, maybe. I can get it on camera. Kind of right there on the top of the emitter. That's sticking into the emitter and that needs to be backed out. All right, so we'll back that out real quick. That's nice and backed out. We'll take our ring from our emitter. All right, here's your blade, by the way. So nice recessed blade. See it in there. So your strips, your foam, your blade diffusion, your actual blade, everything's been done properly. All right, we'll take our ring. We'll slide it on the blade just like that, and then come over here and slide our blade in. If it's tight, it's not too tight, but it is a little snug. Twist to the right to put it on and twist to the right to take it off, because if you apply enough pressure going left, or lefty-loosey rather, to that emitter or that recessed cup that's holding your PCB, you might loosen it, and you don't want to do that. All right, so I hand cranked it as much as I could, but I didn't glue anything down. All right, but once we put the blade in there, we'll come over here and we'll lock it down with the blade retention screw. You really want to crank on this blade retention screw because you want to get it out of the way of the threads, so that when you drop your ring down, it screws right on. If not, it's going to lock up and it might get thread locked, and you don't want to force it. Okay. So now that everything's on, we can come over here and hit power. There's your blade. Try to turn this saber all the way around. From base to tip, everything's lighting up really well. Just tapping for blaster bolts. If you want blade lockup, hold down aux and hit the saber. You got it right here. And it moves according to how you move the saber. And it'll stay like that until you let go of it. So you could do twist off, or you could just tap to turn it off if you wish. One more time. Just like that. And then we'll go over taking the blade out, because like I said, there's just the one font on here, so you can build from it. Okay. But again, loosen the ring, kind of pull it up on your blade a little bit. Come over here and loosen your blade retention. And we can pull our blade out. Before we put the ring back on, we do need to put the blade retention screw back into the emitter. And then we could throw this right on as well. It should slide right on just like that. No need to crank it down so tough. It just needs, a little whoosh, and it's good to go. So I'll turn this on. And then I'll use the kill key to kill everything so you can see it's working properly. Just like that, right? So that is basically your Magic of Myth. Let me know if you got any questions. I do need to go to the post office or Walmart and find a box big enough to ship your blade. I don't have any around. I don't typically make blades, so I need to get something to ship that off, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue, all right? And I should have this out to you in the mail by tomorrow. Thank you for your patience.